You asked me some other story too.
The Ricky Nelson thing. He had performed on the show, but had never been in.
Well, sure, he performed on the show, essentially lip synced, of course. And if you sing for a dozen stagehands and extras in the studio, it ain't no big thing. You do that in the den at home. But now we're going to do an assembly. When the preps first began, before we even had a contract, we called every high school and junior high in L.A. and said, we will do a free show for you. We do all the current hits and the crew cuts. And free, yes, we'll come and do it free. It's clean. Boom, you can call Uni High. We did our show. So we used to go and do shows around. And this afternoon we had booked a show at a high school on the west side.
Hamilton High School.
Hamilton High, thank you. And we were loading up on the lot, having been given the afternoon off by Ozzie, who was so great about that. Oh, you got an assembly? Sure, we'll work around, don't worry. So we're loading up, and Rick came by. We said, come on with us, Rick. He said, oh, well, he wasn't in any shots that day, so we thought he'd come with us. He came with us, grabbed his guitar, and got in the car with us. He never went anywhere without his guitar. And we got over to school, and we did our first 2 or 3 numbers, and by then we had a little bit of a reputation, so the kids were very responsive to our first couple of numbers. And then Glenn said, would you like to have us bring out our buddy on stage? He's with us today, Ricky Nelson, and sing? And I looked off, and Rick, I've never seen panic like that. He took off for the back door. Well, the other 3 of us, Glenn and Ed, I should say Ed and Marvin and I ran over, grabbed him, literally picked him up. He's got 1 foot dragging on the ground, and they carry him out on stage. Well, when the girls, of course, saw it was actually him, they went crazy. Now, this is in the 50s where everything's...
Yeah, he wasn't planning on performing. He was just hanging out with you guys for the afternoon.
He was hanging out with us for the afternoon. He had no idea we were going to call on him. And when he came out, and he had a funny expression he used to get when crazy things were happening. His eyes would get real big, and he's got looking. And they were screaming. Now the regimented 50s, mind you. All the girls left their seats and ran down for the stage, clawing at him, wanting the whole thing. We barely escaped with our lives. They tore our clothes. When we came out in the driveway, Glenn's old beat-up Oldsmobile, which is what we'd driven over, to escape, there were bodies all over. You couldn't even see the car. And we're trying to work our way in and open the door and get in. And as we get in, we're trying to squeeze out as the mob of people in front of us want to stop us. And now we get in the car and we're heading home. And usually after a show like that, you're sky high and screaming and yelling. And we are, and we're all screaming and high-fiving and yelling and laughing. And then all of a sudden, we all get kind of silent. And I swear to God, we all kind of reflecting, oh, my God, you know what's happening to our buddy? And then I'd make eye contact with Rick, and he'd break up again, and we'd all break up again, and then we'd go, and we'd get silent again. So, there we were in this beat-up old Oldsmobile heading back from Hamilton High, and I'm thinking, someday Life magazine is going to make up the expression for this guy. Well, they did. It was Teen Idols when they made it up for Rick Nelson.
And I think what was happening was when you'd go to the movies and you'd see Clark Gable or any handsome face, it was huge, so you could fall in love with those eyes. But with television, which was pretty new when Rick hit, he was in your living room every day, and they had a lot of close-ups on Rick when he was singing. So every girl thought she knew him.
That's right.
And he was super dreamy. And then here he is in person. Like, they had an intimate relationship with him that pre-existed when you guys showed up at that gym.
Oh, I said in the book, the first time we on tour, we ran out and there were 35,000 screaming young women in an arena at the Ohio State Fair. They'd only seen Rick and us on the tube. Now we're breathing the same air as them.
Yeah,
we're down right there on the stage. Of course, you see the picture of the auditorium or the arena where they were these little dots way down on the stage. But yeah, that was he had, and I lately for some reason I've been running across some pictures of him and stuff. He was a terrific musician and singer. He was a very, very, very good-looking guy.
A good-looking guy.
I ever saw.
Ozzie knew how to frame him.
I never saw a bad picture of Rick Nelson. He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, he was super dreamy, and Ozzie knew. Both my boys are very handsome, but Ozzie knew how to frame him and that he was coming into your living room.
Yep.